Hello, Malik Currington here, Family Budget Fisherman. Thank you for tuning in to this another special episode on this channel. Well, you've read in the description and in the thumbnail, I'm going to be giving you my review of the 13 Fishing Envy Black 3 spinning reel. You'll be interested in what I have to say about this rod. So let's get started. All right, thank you for hanging on in there. As I mentioned, we're going to be doing a review of this rod. I do want to mention that I already have some history with this rod before I fished it, and now since I have fished it. As you read in the thumbnail and in the description, I have fished almost 40 hours, over 35, almost 40. After I got to 35, I just kept fishing and it kind of lost track. I've caught a lot of fish with this rod. And I'll show you some pictures of fish that I've caught. I don't normally talk about the fishing aspect of this because here in Shasta Lake, in Redding, it is very difficult to go to Shasta Lake and catch a whopper. 4, 5, 8, 10 pound plus size fish. They have them out there, but the average size fish is about 12 inches, maybe 14 if you're lucky. Okay. And we're talking about mostly spotted bass, but that's because the water level adjusts so frequently here that the bass, the largemouth bass, when they spawn, the water level adjusts so dramatically that it kills off where they have made their nests and so forth. So if the eggs haven't hatched yet, you usually don't get a really good crop of largemouth. But there are some smallmouth in there, and I've caught smallmouth. But like I said, I'm going to show you some pictures. So having said that, that's why I focus on this and not actually catching fish. But you will see some videos soon. This rod performed so stellarly that if I had this rod before I had purchased other rods, I may not have purchased other rods. Okay. First of all, let's talk about it from a tech spec. This rod is made with what is called J46T, or 46-ton Japanese Toray carbon. Okay. Translate that. This is one of the most sensitive rods on the market. Okay. When you get to 36-ton and better, you're in the upper end of rod composition in terms of sensitivity, performance, responsiveness, no matter what it is, whether you are going from a heavy all the way down to a light or an ultralight. And with 46-ton, it is very difficult to get a rod like this to also be sensitive, because they have to do so much to keep it from breaking, because the break level, the breakage of rods at this level is very, very high. That's why most of your rods, say for example your 6 cents rods or halo rods and so forth, many of your Abu Garcia rods, until you get to the when you get to your $120 rods, they start to go into 30 ton, but most of them are 24-ton Japanese Toray carbon. But that's only because the breakage level is so low, and they do other things to make the rod appreciably sensitive. But that said, when your engine is good, your car is good. And I think that they use the same blank, because it's the same Japanese Toray on the previous model. This is the Envy Black 2, as they did on the Envy Black 3. It is noticeably lighter by a couple of tenths of an ounce. And this rod, because this one weighs 4.4 ounces. Okay, this weighs 4.4. I think this previous model is 4.7. Now, as far as upper end rods, it's a little on the heavy side. I'll give into that. It's a little on the heavy side, but it was not sufficiently heavy that it bothered me while I was fishing. Okay, that's another thing. Another thing that people will, let's talk about real quick. Let's just get it out the way. Let's talk about the balance. Now, with a reel, I don't think that this rod is balanced as much as most people would like. Most people would like their finger to be way over here, but I want you to notice that the butt section on this rod is a lot shorter than even on this rod here. Okay, by, let's see, if you go here to here, the butt section before you get to the break right here, this one, let's do it this way. I want you to notice here. I forget what this little nub is called, but that's where you have a significant change in the rod's design from, say, the rest of the pole, as it were, getting into the butt section. Okay, I'm losing my professional words, so help me. So just work with me on this. So as you can see here, so the balance is going to be into the cork as opposed to on the end of the cork, and I don't have a problem with that. Now, there are those of you, and I'm only mentioning this because normally I don't mention people who just want to take shots, but there are those of you who gave some real good constructive criticism and even gave some good reference points about balance. There are other people we trust in this business who say, well, you know, that balance thing looks funny, it acts funny, et cetera, et cetera. And you are correct. From a general performance issue, yes, but from an ergonomic issue, that's where we're having the challenge. Now, I'll give you an example. You all remember me doing a review on this one here. This is the John Cruz series drop shot rod, and this is from Cash and Rod's Icon. Well, it's weighted, actually weighted heavy in the butt section. Okay, and this is a medium, the medium heavy, and it's a medium heavy, 7'4", but it's purposefully weighted because it has uh, a different technique, a different fishing um, designation, as it were, and so it's weighted in the butt section here, and it doesn't balance well at all. If you want to do something like this, I mean, you're way somewhere up in there. There you go. And that's not really considered a balance, but I mean, it does what it does. So I get it. And one of you had even mentioned that Hookup Tackle had made mention of the fact that rods are intentionally done that way. This is about ergonomics. It's not about performance. Ergonomics is how it impacts you when you are fishing with it. The more well balanced a rod is, the better its impact is on you when it comes to carpal tunnel, etc. No one is going to throw a weighted rod as often as they are going to throw a more balanced, lighter rod. It's just not going to happen. So I just made this video that much longer by talking about that. At any rate, so that's where this rod is. Okay. Now, real quickly, it has 10 guides. I wish that there were two things about this, and this is my criticism about the rod. Two things I wish would have happened. Number one, I don't know what it is about 13 fishing in these narrow stripper guides, but they're all very narrow. I wish that they were just a bit wider. Just to give an example, and I'll bring this back up. Here's an X Pride. Watch this. That it's not gonna hurt it. I mean, the X Pride is. I mean, it's almost like America's Choice when it comes to rods in the Shimano line. So what I'm saying is, um, that accepted. Now, did it hurt the performance of this rod? No. However, I did notice that that the the if I had a reel that was not as fantastic as this Vanford, I would have noticed the difference with the more narrow stripper guide. You need them a little bit wider. I also wish, like the Omen series of rods that they have, which is a few notches below this, that they would have more guides. This one only has 10. The Omen series has 11. I don't know what the conversation was about that, but there you go. Those are the two negative factors, if there is any negative, that I would say about this rod. Does it impact negatively performance? I don't see it. And the way I fished it, I fished everything with this. I fished reaction baits. I fished finesse baits. I did drop shot, square bills, dived. Now, once I got below 10 feet, I did see a noticeable difference between that, and I'll share that with you when I do my comparison between this and the X Pride. I mean, this and the NRX Plus. There were some noticeable differences in performance once I started throwing, you know, crankbaits down to 12 feet. Now, I could roll a spinnerbait down to 15 feet, and I didn't have any trouble with that. And that was cool, as a matter of fact. The sensitivity was unreal. I did not feel a difference in sensitivity, meaning there was no degradation in sensitivity when I was at 5 feet versus at 15 feet. I didn't fish the water that I chose to fish several times. I didn't go below 15 feet. I think maybe once I went to 17 feet, but I fished all of the ranges in between, and I didn't feel a difference in sensitivity for this particular rod. And some rods are just like that. The sensitivity will be compromised as you're fishing deeper and deeper. And I didn't feel that up to 15 feet. Okay, but I didn't fish below 15 feet, maybe accidentally 17, but generally speaking, I was in that 15-foot range. So my point to you is, fishing all of your worm base or crawl base baits where you're dragging it on the bottom, or you're drop shotting it, or you're popping it like if you had a tube. Oh man, you'd have so much fun with this rod. So that's it. That's what I enjoyed. And like I said, I compared it to other rods that I do have in terms of performance. And I'm just telling you right now. Now, I know that this is a recently discontinued model, but you all know how much I enjoy the Tatula Elite series. They now have, as of sometime this week, and I'd say in the last maybe few days or so, the new version of the Tatula Elite with the AGS guides has hit the retail markets at $299. So what that means is I got to get it and compare it. But let me tell you this $375 rod fishes above its price point. So much so that I can tell you that there is not much to compare it with when it comes to the Tatula. This is a much better rod, this Envy, much better rod. And as far as sales are concerned, you can get as good or better sales with the Envy as you could have with the Tatula line. Now, I'm going to upset a lot of you on this one, okay? I'm just gonna, this is a trigger moment, okay? This Envy that I'm holding in my hand fishes better than the X Pride. And I had to bring the X Pride on here so that you would know I fish them both. And I have to say, I did not want to get the X Pride, and I told you all in my original video, I didn't want to get the X Pride, and I did not want to get the NRX Plus. But I did. I got them. I fish with them. I love them. They are amazing rods. They are fantastic rods. And the more I fish with them, the more I love them. I've had both rods for some time now, and I can tell you, at least for the X Pride, that the Envy so far fishes better than the X Pride. Now, here is the negative. This rod is heavier than the X Pride. The X Pride is 3.738, and this is 4.4. And you can feel the difference. And it's sad because this is in my hand, this one's a medium heavy, and this is a medium light. So go figure. But that goes to technology, the difference between the rods and how they fish. As a matter of fact, on the X Pride, let's see, the balance with the reel is in. You see that there? It's also in there, but that's because the butt beginning with the butt of the blank, it starts a lot shorter than other reels, and I like that. When you compare the two, look at about they're almost at parity. That little difference, that little change right there. I forget what that's called. There is something that's called something, and I just don't remember what it is. So at any rate, I'm telling you, you feel the $100 difference or so between the X Pride and the Envy. Now let me also be more specific about that. That is within the rating of this rod. So if I'm throwing 3/8 ounce spinner baits or chatter baits, the Envy is superior. If I'm throwing um, if I'm throwing finesse baits, I have more sensitivity with the Envy than I do with the X Pride. Okay, that's why I say this is a trigger moment for you all, and I get it. I get it. I'm just telling you what I know is factual. Now, when it came to throwing, and I had to put the same reel on one as the other, and I did do all that. Now, when it came to going below 10 feet, there was a compromise. Again, throwing crankbaits below 10 feet. I don't know what it is about this particular rod. Maybe I need to get another model of this rod, but this particular rod struggled a bit when I was throwing crankbaits below 10 feet. Okay. Like I said, I could throw other baits there. I can throw um, bottom, moving baits, so craws, weighted baits, spinner baits, so forth. I can throw a, up to a 3/8 ounce worm head, had no problem. But when it came to crankbaits, that was the only challenge that I had, was throwing the crankbaits on there. Now, those of you who are bait cast fishermen, you go, but just get you a bait caster, a glass rod, and throw your crankbaits. I'll leave that up to you. I'll leave that up to you. Now, where there was a challenge was with the Adrena. The Envy bumped the Adrena. Remember, I think I told you, as far as a utility rod, I think that the Poison Adrena is probably the best all-around utility rod made in the market, all-around utility. Where the St. Croix Legend Extreme is the best finesse rod I've ever held in my hand, period, end. And I don't think it's gonna be a long time before that gets dethroned. As an all-around rod, I don't think that the Legend Extreme makes it. The Poison Adrena does, but let me say this to you: they are not very far from one another in terms of performance. That's it, because everybody knows that the Poison Adrena performs way over its price point. There are some times when the Poison Adrena performs better than the NRX. Um, I haven't compared the NRX to the Poison Adrena to the NRX Plus. I know with the NRX, there were some cases where the NRX was performing better, like actually better than the NRX. So just to let you know, it's that good. But I'm saying, if I had purchased the Envy before I had purchased the X Pride or the Adrena, I would not miss anything. And I'm saying to you, you're not going to miss anything if you decide to go in this direction as opposed to going in the other directions. This rod is well made. It is extremely well made. So that is my overall recommendation. And you could, like I said, I didn't throw anything that I had a problem with. Believe it or not, believe it or not, this rod I threw a 1/16 ounce um, crappie jig. I threw a 1/16 ounce crappie jig. And I had this 10-pound test floral clear by Peli, which is what I'm rocking here. And I threw it from where the camera is, pass over to where you see the ball, almost to the ball right there. Now, from the camera to the ball is 52 feet. I got right in that range. I did measure it. It measured 45 and a half feet. That's how far I cast a 1/16 ounce. Now, mind you, the lure rating on this begins at 1/8. I threw a 1/16 ounce crappie jig, almost 50 feet. It was over 45 feet for sure. I want you to try that with some of the other rods. There are not many rods that could do that. It's and loaded up with 10-pound tests, mono. This is fluorocarbon. I mean, fluoro clear. So go with your fluorocarbons or what have you. And try me on that one and see how far you get. What I'm trying to say with you is this rod performs stellarly. Now, notice that I have the Shimano Vanford on here and I don't have their 13 Fishing's Oxum or Axum. I don't know how you pronounce it, but it's Oxum or Axum. AXUM is their top of the line, their newest top of the line reel. I do plan to get it. It's about $155 full retail. But this $250 rod, a reel rather, this $250 reel did do the work. It did help out the Envy in a lot of ways. If there is anything that I can say about high-end reels is that they really do help the performance of a rod. They do accentuate it quite well. Now, I don't know what the plateau is. I do know at $250, I can tell the difference between this and a $100 reel for sure. So that said, I want to thank you for listening to my awkward comparison. I think I got everything in there. Yep, my awkward comparison, or review rather, my awkward review of this rod. I want to introduce this rod to you all as an alternative. By the way, I've seen this rod as inexpensive as $180. From time to time, it pops up. So you can get it anywhere from full retail price of $375 down to, if you're good enough, can find it for 180 bucks. So with that said, don't do anything to break your family's budget trying to buy all of this equipment. It just doesn't make any sense. And you don't want to hurt your family over fishing equipment. But by every ethical and legal means, get out there and break your personal best. I'll see you in the next video. Take care and be blessed.